Hello everyone. In one of my videos, I demonstrated how to retrieve data from an SQL database using Entity Framework. Here's the example. It's really simple. We have just a data context with the connection strings. We have DB set persons, and here's how the persons actually look like. And in main window, we are just have our data context, and we are retrieving persons and and displaying everything in a data grid. Let's see how it looks like. Yeah. uh, as you can see, we are not making any direct SQL requests. Instead, everything is handled by Entity Framework automatically, and uh, persons collection is populated based on our database table. But there might be situations where we need more control and we want to execute direct queries against our database. So in this video, we will explore how to perform direct database queries using C#. Let's comment out this part. And this as well. Now, because we are going to create our persons list manually, I'm gonna create a list of persons here, which of course will be empty initially. Now, the first thing we need to do is we need to create our SQL connection. So it's going to be SQL connection equals to new SQL connection, and the connection string is going to be exactly the same like we have here. So I'm gonna just copy it, and the next thing, as Visual Studio already suggests, is to open connection. Now we need to create our command request. It's going to be SQL command, and then the actual command and connection. So for this, we just gonna retrieve all the data that the person contains. So the request is going to be select everything from persons. And now we need to basically execute our command. There are several ways to execute the command. As you can see, we have many different options like execute non-query, execute reader, etc. We are not going into the details of the methods. So we are going to use execute reader. We could also use execute reader async if we needed asynchronous calls. So execute reader basically provides output for us, so we can go in a loop over the table data and fetch everything we needed. So execute reader, this is going to be, so the output of this function is SQL data reader equals to command execute reader. We will do it inside a using statement. And now the reader, so every time we do reader read, it basically reads the next entry that we have in database, and we can say while reader read is true, inside the body of the while we can now fetch all data we need. So now reader 0 in fact is going to be, because we have 3 columns here, reader 0 is going to be the ID, reader 1 is going to be the name, and reader 2 is going to be the surname. So we can say int ID equals to reader 0. We need to convert it to int because we know it's going to be an integer, and the rest name equals to now reader 1 to string, and string surname is going to be reader 2 to string. And at the end we can just add person to persons list. So we will create a new person where ID equals to ID, name equals to name, and surname equals to surname. And at the end of this we can just say my data grid item source equals to persons, and we should have the exact same result as we were having before, but this time we are fetching database, so to say, like manually. Now let's talk a little bit about the other ways to execute commands. So in this case we needed to fetch the data from database, but it's not always the case that we require some output from the method. For example, if we are deleting an entry from a database, we are not expecting anything to be returned. Maybe just a status whether the request was succeeded or not. That's all. So for that we can create an SQL command. Let's say delete command equals to new SQL command. So here again it's going to be the connection, and as a command we are going to use, let's say, delete from DB persons, where ID equals, let's remove the last item. So the last item is going to be 10. Now we can just say delete command execute non-query. Yeah, that was right. Execute non-query, and this is gonna just execute the query. What it returns is the as it says, returns the number of rows affected. So we can say row count equals to, and so basically if it returns -1, that means something is wrong with our query. Let's test it, okay? So yeah, let's rebuild it and debug it. Okay, so row count is 1. That means 1 row is affected and the request was successful. Let's see. Okay, so the element with the item with 10 ID was removed. The last thing I wanted to show is are the parameters, which are very useful. So as you can see, for example, what we are putting this 10 here. So it is very convenient to have a way to have parameters. For example, if you are querying the database in a loop or something like that. So what we can do with it, let's say we have SQL command, insert command, new SQL command, and here we have insert. This is an insert query, insert into DB persons values, and so let's put connection here. In a A regular query, we would do something like this. So put here name and surname, but as I mentioned, it might not be always convenient. Let's say if you are using the query in a loop or something like that. So instead, what we can do is we can use parameters. So this is gonna be name and this is gonna be surname. And now we need to say the types of the parameters. So we are saying parameters add, so it's going to be parameter and db type, this is going to be varchar, and here is going to be name, and the next one is going to be surname. Now what we need to do, so we are not going to like create query every time. We're gonna just say insert command parameters name equals name value, and then surname value. And the last thing is we should just execute the command as we were doing before. Again, we can fetch the row count to make sure that the request was successful. Okay, let's see. Row count is 1. We can now make sure, yeah, the entry is added. And yeah, that's basically it. Don't forget to close the connection at the end when you're done. That's all. Thanks for watching.